You're listening to a Countout Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Jumping Knee Pod, a modern day All Japan Pro Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and my guest today is Dylan Fox.
I'm back. You could not get rid of me. The people needed it. They demanded I come back, is how I understand that. I may be making that part up. But I am very happy to be back. I'm very grateful to talk to you again. And it's always wonderful being on your show. Very happy with how things have gone. I mean, we're nearing, like the 1 year of when we started talking about this show on there. So we still got plenty to go for the year anniversary for sure. But things are going great with the show. I always listen, even when I'm not on. All of your guests have been really cool too. So you've done a great job, and I'm super hyped for today's show. Even though it's kind of a weird show that we're doing, I kind of feel like too that there is a part of me that thought, well, she probably asked like 10 other people, and they all said no, and then you just came to me and was like, fine, Dylan can come back on.
Well, the thing is, like, with tournaments, I think, okay, who hasn't done a tournament yet? Because tournaments are a pain to review. So I'm like, Dylan made me do the Champion Carnival tournament, and I had to watch every single Champion Carnival match. So I'm going to make him do Tag League tournament with me.
Yeah, she is right. She was on, if you didn't hear it, she was on the Eastern Lariat for doing all of that. And you came through big for the finals, though. And I was really proud of us for never watching Night 7 of the tour.
Yeah.
On there, so no, yeah, I would have come back no matter what, but that makes a lot of sense that you had me in mind to suffer through the real world strongest determination tag league, not the fake world tag league.
No, the real one.
Yes.
I was thinking if this episode had a title, it would just be one word. And like, do you want to guess what that word is?
Oh God. Jiro.
No.
Look at the look she made. See, look at the look you gave me as soon as I said that. That was the exact reaction I was hoping for.
It's Doom.
Doom. Yes, good stuff there.
Disappointed.
I'm sorry. Especially, yes, that makes perfect sense considering what's coming in the future. I don't have time to look for the future, Jessica. I live for the moment. And when that moment lasts 3 weeks of a never-ending tag league, that's what I live for. It's not the future.
Okay. Before we get started, we have to talk about 2 issues. And we're going to start with the Triple Crown champion, Davey Boy Smith Jr. So last month, we went at him for thanking Johnny Ace in his post-match promo when he won the Triple Crown. He didn't stop there with bad decisions. He said, Honda, all your cheating and all your tactics, you can go stick those straight up your ass and go back to Osaka or North Korea or wherever you're from. Like, what a fucking idiot. Like, why would he say that? Like, just say, like, Honda, I'll get you back next time. Like, that's it. Why does he have to... I don't understand why.
The thing is, it was really stupid when he said it for sure. But, man, why would you do that as the champion on top of it? It's like no care or respect for your position in the company. This company that he wasn't even, where was he before he came back to All Japan?
I don't even
Canada?
know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, his New Japan run was like 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, and then like someone digged up like a video of him when he was in New Japan, and like he called like the best friends homosexuals, and just like, why are you like this?
This is getting more problematic than I realized.
Yeah.
So yes, he's saying a lot of really stupid stuff, it sounds like. And I don't know. Maybe he amused himself. I don't think anybody else was, unfortunately. But yeah, like I know when it happened that caused a lot of uproar. I don't know if anybody in all Japan thinks about this stuff, like or sees it. You know, I don't want to speak for them or anything, but maybe they just like Honda and all these other guys. They just never listened to Davy Boy. Like they just let him talk to the
Mm.
empty space, into the void, and they just never
Honda's
know
too busy
what.
dancing.
Yes, see, don't we all wish we could be more like Honda, dance our
Yes.
way through our problems in life?
And another point I want to bring up is like the Japanese fans, what I've seen, really like him. The
Yeah,
Western fans, nah, like they don't
no,
care.
no,
And I know you and Striga were talking about like how this could help the English speaking side of all Japan, like having him on board. But like the fact that the people who are saying congratulations, he won the belt, like I know you wanted this for a long time, or something about his dad, they're not gonna start watching All Japan because of this. They're just gonna you leave their comment and move on. You know who like got fans into All Japan? Anzai. Anzai got
yes.
so many fans into All Japan. If anything, David Boy is making like All Japan lose fans.
Yeah, I mentioned on there that was before all this came out, him saying the
Yeah.
stupid stuff. But
Sorry, I
I
should have
did
said that.
say
Yeah,
that.
that's before all this.
Yeah, no, but I did say that I thought that maybe he could be more like I don't think necessarily get more fans into it, more like a liaison to help maybe like lead to a commentary role. And Stringer was talking about maybe he could get people into the company more. But I mean, the funny thing is about All Japan, when he said that, I thought the same thing. They do a great job of bringing in like off the cuff foreigners as it is. Like they went deep with people. They had Francesco Akira from Italy, Gianni Valletta from Malta, Mike D. We're going to talk about him in this tag league. They get a lot of foreigners as it is. So I don't know if Davy Boy you know, it may not be as helpful as maybe we said on that episode in hindsight. To be honest, the more we go into it, like I said, it's just really the main thing for me is just his wrestling more than anything, which we're going to talk about on this show. I think it's really hard, and I think unfortunately Yagi dealt with this a little bit. You mentioned Anzai bringing in new fans. It's hard for anybody to follow his footsteps because
Mm,
his run was so good, and he did bring in a lot of new fans, and cool things came about from that. But it's hard when you go from that to where we're at now with him, and on top of it, it's one thing to have him on the show. It's another thing to make him the champion as
yeah.
well. Like there's room for foreigners in certain roles. If they're very spectacular, of course. I mean, there's a great lineage in all Japan of foreign wrestlers that have elevated themselves for the titles. Stan Hansen way a million
Yeah.
years ago at this point. Even later on, like with Muto's era, like Taiyo Kea was a big deal in all Japan. We've seen people come and go, but for him, I mean, he was the first Canadian-born Triple Crown champion. Davey Boy was so. We'll see. Obviously, his dad is a legend, and that helped him a lot. In terms of his name value and all of that. But yeah, he hasn't done a great job as champion so far. I would say, if anything else, hopefully they can clean things up a little bit. Um, it did lead to a very interesting title match at the end of the year that you will be in attendance for. To be fair,
Yes.
I'm sure when you planned this out, I'm sure this wasn't your plan though. Like, Davey Boy Smith Jr. exactly who I
My
want.
plan was to see Yuma walking for the Triple Crown. This was going to be the second year in a row, and it's the second year in a row where he lost the belt a month before I go to Japan.
That's a real tragic
Yeah.
story, to be honest. I apologize on behalf of whoever made this decision. I mean, listen, you're going to do your year-end thing, but this year has been a year of really questionable decisions from All Japan from the
Yeah.
very beginning of the year. They started off in a really weird place, and they're ending it in a really weird place. And then you had that middle portion with Anzai where everything was like the golden age,
Yeah.
but it only lasted a few months, unfortunately.
The thing is, he's just like the champion, like the top champion of the company. Like, I just wish he'd show, I don't know, more smarts, like think before you speak, like think
Yeah.
about who you're thanking because they're not in a good position right now. It's, I just wish he thought a bit more.
I do wonder if all of this, because like a lot of his promos too, obviously that was different, but a lot of his promos are kind of like, yeah, I'm the Triple Crown champion. I am All Japan. I represent All Japan. I'm an All Japan guy. Blah blah
Fuck
blah blah blah.
off.
Well, we can see. We can see. I think a lot of people would agree with that, to be fair. And I'm not really a fan of his, to be honest, at all. Like even when he came in, I wasn't that excited about him coming in. But uh, the only thing I think of is that he's so over the top about that, is that maybe he's planting seeds for like a turn, like of some sort, like some turn. But didn't they say his contract was ending in January or something like that? I feel like I saw somebody say that he'll be around until the carnival, but I don't know. I I just want him gone for your sake because it's hurting my heart to see you so disenfranchised with the Triple Crown champion. I
Uh,
thought we were over that with Nakajima earlier in the year. I thought we escaped all of these feelings.
yeah. Speaking about Nakajima, one more thing I want to touch on before I move on. David Lee is imitating Jumbo Tsuruta, just like Nakajima did Inoki. It's just he's not going as far as Nakajima, obviously, but like he's doing the jumping knee and he's doing like the fist in the air and stuff. I'm just like, why? We went through this before. Like, why is it happening again?
I mean, it's the thing with a lot of Japanese institutions that the past has so much weight with a
Mm.
lot of companies, and All Japan Jumbo is a legendary wrestler. Like, if you put me on the spot, he would be somebody I would say is like literally like top three, literally greatest wrestlers ever. But it was so long ago, and you still see that it has this weight with people that they're going back to it as a way. I mean, let's just be honest. He was around in Japan for a long time. He doesn't really have anything memorable on his own, like that he can really go with. So they go with a legendary guy like that to kind of give him a boost. Nakajima, he just has weird ideas. Like
Yeah.
clearly, like he had stuff on his own. He just was like, nah, screw that. We're doing this Inoki thing.
Yeah.
Um, and nearly got the company sued. But this in this case, Davy Boy has nothing to him on his own. Like, so that's why he's going with this. That's why he came in. He was Bulldog Junior. Coming in originally. He's there's just not a lot to him. And again, he's been wrestling since he was like a kid, like even younger than when I started. He was like 8 years old or something, wrestling with TJ, like Tyson Kidd and stuff. And like he's technically proficient. Like he could do stuff well, like execution wise is fine. There's just no spark to him or anything that hooks you to him. So that I think that's a big reason why they're trying to play up this. I represent all Japan. I love the old school. I'm just like Jumbo, like that kind of thing. Was that's a really easily marketable gimmick for somebody, especially a foreigner.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, that would be fine if we didn't already have Anzai, who does a jumping knee, who has been compared to Jumbo by Masanobu Fuji.
And deservingly so.
Yeah.
Like it makes perfect sense for him to be compared to Jumbo. Davey Boy's just like a gimmick. It's not like realistic. Like they're just giving him something because he doesn't have anything. But you are right that kind of like infringes on Anzai's spot. It reminds me of when like in Noah when Go faced Kaito the first time. And it's like before this, Kaito was coming out in all the green. He was the champion. He's Mr. Noah. Like he loved Masawa when he was a kid. Blah 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 blah. And then like they had that one match, and then the next show, Go comes out with a green coat saying, "I am Noah." And it's like, now wait a minute. Like we just saw Kaito say the same thing, and then they flipped Kaito's gimmick around to well, first he had that like. Yeah. Well, he had that weird period for like a few months where he's like, okay, I've got black tights. I'm trying something different. And then Muto came in, and the rest is history on that. That's what this kind of reminds me of. It's like, well, now wait a minute. Anzai was the Jumbo guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one who loves all Japan. He was in a bidding war. New Japan begged him to come practically. Like, Nagata, like, tried so hard. He's like, no, I'm coming to all Japan. And we love him for that, of course.
Yes.
But he that's him. Like, why are you doing this when Anzai's right here?
I just want to wrap this up by just saying, like, just be better, Davy Boy. If you ever listen to this, you probably hate me if you do listen to this, but just like, shut up when you're backstage. Just think before you speak. Yeah, saying that stuff about Honda was just so dumb, especially because like people have been told to go back where they came from, like in a racist way, and that's terrible to hear. Yeah. I personally haven't heard that, but I know my friends have, and just to hear like the Triple Crown champion of a company I love say that to Honda, who's a wrestler I love, is really, really fucking disappointing.
Yeah, and yeah, Honda's great. He's really built a great niche for himself. Um, yeah, that is when you think about it, the country again, this is kind of like bigger than even wrestling. Like the country's perspectives on like racial issues and stuff is very complicated. So it's just a really weird and unnecessary thing to say in this date and time, I would say. But like you said, hopefully it could be a learning experience and he could grow from it. But I still don't think he'll wrestle any better. So like that again, that's kind of my bigger issue with him because this was definitely stupid. But I don't want to speak for how other people feel on this sort of thing,
Yeah.
on that end. But man, Ryuki Honda, we love you, man.
Yes.
I wish you were the champion. Instead, it didn't even make any sense. He was just being blatantly like stupid, like Davy Boy, like even taking the moral, like racial stuff out of it. It was such a stupid thing to say. It wasn't even funny. Like it wasn't even.
Yeah.
There was no point to it other than to make people mad. I feel like he feels like that kind of guy. I don't want to judge people's character over anything, but it does feel like that kind of joke was made like not everybody would have said that, I mean, that's not where I would have gone, and I'm a trash talking motherfucker, like at the end of the day, but I wouldn't have said it that way for sure. But and I don't think a lot of people would, not just me. So just an unfortunate thing, especially for the Triple Crown champion. And like you said, hopefully things can get better.
Well, let's leave that in the past. We're going to move on to Suwama because he has news. It was announced the day after Tag League he was stepping down from the position of Executive Managing Director. He will remain a signed wrestler for All Japan, but his appearances for the company will drop significantly, wrestling about 2 or 3 times a month, which for me seems like way more than I thought it was going to be. I thought he was going to say like, yeah, I'll wrestle once a month, maybe run once every 2 months, but no, he's still there basically. So he's becoming the president of Evolution Girls. And if you've been following it for a while, like this is like Suji and Swama's like baby. They love this. So I'm sad to see things change for Suwama. It's not a big change, like thank goodness. But like
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy he gets to do this because I know just how much Evo Girls mean to him. So
Mhm.
hopefully this can start seeing Evo Girls come back to All Japan. Maybe All Japan TV starts showing their shows because, oh my God, I'm so desperate to watch Evo Girls.
Yeah, that's a funny. This is another thing. I mean, just like the other thing we talked about, like when it happened, we had these strong emotional reactions. We both did, like you as well as me. Um, and now time has passed, and we can kind of be a little bit more relaxed about stuff. And this Suwama thing, he means so much to the company just because he's been around all of these years. Like we watched this guy grow from a fresh-faced rookie that was the hope of the company, and then he's been here all of these years. He was the ace of the company. Then he took on a management role, and the company went through really bad down periods, at certain times. I remember before Kento won that title, like the first time, the Triple Crown belt. That was when Akiyama was kind of the president, and Suwama was a big role in that. And a lot of people were saying like, "Hey, All Japan, like we don't know if this will keep going." Like even Akiyama said that to Tokyo Sports one time that he's like, I don't know if this can last." And then obviously Kento won the belt and things really improved a lot. They got more sponsors and so much has happened since then.
Yeah.
But Suwama is a pillar, and I no pun intended on the 4 pillars or whatever. He really is a pillar of the company in this era and through all the eras he's been with. So him leaving is just it's just a shame in a lot of ways. But like you said, it's not as bad as we thought it was at first. Because again, I think as fans and anybody like that, it's totally normal to have overreactions to everything, pretty
Yeah.
much. Like we see it all the time online with people, or just if it's same thing, not just with wrestling, but with sports teams. With if you're a fan, of a musician like a Taylor Swift stan or something like that, it's natural to have these overreaction thoughts that maybe you could look back if you're an objective, like if somebody doesn't care about All Japan, they would be like, oh, well, it's not that bad. He's a veteran. It might be his time. But if you're a fan of All Japan, you realize how much he means
Yeah.
and what a staple he's been. So if he were to go, that would be such a big change. Him not being there would just be weird,
Yeah.
So the fact that he is sticking around is very good, and because I was afraid at first when that got announced. Now, again, I had a bit of an emotional reaction too. I was afraid that like, oh man, I just remember when Zeus left to run Osaka Pro, and we all thought that he'd stick around, and then
One
he
appearance, and then
disappeared.
he sends a bodyguard for the rest of
Yeah,
Osaka appearances.
yeah, Bodyguard. He still shows up every now
Yeah.
and then. Yeah, Bodyguard hasn't left us behind. But my God, but Zeus, yeah, I really thought he'd be much more of a normal player, and it just never panned out. So I'm happy that seems like there's a much better plan for this. And if anything else, I mentioned it. They've really backed off of the actress time recently on these All Japan shows the last couple of months. Maybe it's something they could look at and bring in the Evo girls back into the fold, and that could help Suwama. That might smooth things over and say, hey, like maybe I won't leave if I can have my girls here too. Yeah. Maybe the big
Yeah.
dog will come back.
It's like just because ever since I've been watching All Japan, the day after Tag League is when people leave. It's when like big
Yeah.
shakeups happen. So like when I wake up and I see Suwama and tons of people from Japan are tweeting about it, I'm just like, oh my God, he's leaving. Like, oh my God, like Suwama, he can't leave. I just did an episode about how Suwama's All Japan. Like, what the hell? Worst
Yes, I
timing ever. But
Yes.
yeah, no, just sitting with it and thinking about it, like I'm happy Suwama gets to do what he loves. It's like when Zeus left, like we were talking about, he said, I spent my 30s in All Japan and now I want to spend my 40s doing Osaka Pro, and I'm happy for him. It's just that like change is never fun, really.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, we miss people like that.
Yeah.
And Suwama, nothing but positive wishes for him. I'm really glad that he was able to bounce back from his injury scare earlier on. And who's to say, like, the future is so wild in Japanese wrestling, especially, that you just never know what could happen next. And plus, there's all kinds of rumors that take over a lot of the time too. Like, there's been like pretty much everybody on the roster has probably been speculated to leave at one point or another
Yeah.
in the last couple of years, like up to Kento, probably. Like, there were people who probably thought that. But so nobody's really safe from like, man, like if you're a big fan, like you said, change is never good. We don't want people to leave or things to change.
Yeah.
But it's just a part of wrestling sometimes. And something like this, it feels like they took special care, whether it was Suwama himself, obviously I think took care of this.
Mm.
And also the president and the people involved. They took special care to make this as soft of a change as possible to
Yeah.
where, like, okay, he'll still be around. So it shows you how important he is that they took that care. It's not like when, Jake Lee left. Like, he was just gone.
Yeah.
Pretty much like after that. And people are kind of irritated. There's like certain people in Tokyo Sports interviews, but including the person we've been talking about leaving. So it shows you how much he meant that they did take special care for that.
Yeah.
He deserved it.
Okay, so let's finally get into the wrestling because we've got a lot to go over. So just a quick recap. The semifinals were Kento and Davey Boy. They defeated Anzai and Haito, and Junior Ray defeated Honda and Ayabe. And the finals, Junior Ray defeated Kento and Davey Boy to win Tag League. There's your update. So we're going to go block by block, and we're going to go team by team into the day by day. We're going to go lowest points to highest points, and it pains me so much to start with Shotaro Shino and Dan Tamura, who got 2 points. Like, why would All Japan only give one win to this team? Like, why are you so mean? Like, I had such high hopes for this team. Like, I guess if you really want to get into it, you can say they're a new team. Dan's still technically a junior. They weren't going to get a lot of points, but still, I don't know. I just wanted more for this.
Yeah, I hate it because, I feel like they've done a really great job with Dan this year. They haven't done as great of a job with Ashino, where he's really had a dead year, to be honest, in general. Like, he hasn't been able to do anything. And I feel so bad because, well, he's awesome, first of all, most importantly. But secondly, like, his story's so sad that he had the injury timing where he did. And I thought, maybe he could be the one, like, that they focus on and elevate him back up to where he was. And it's like, nope. They said, screw that. You're teaming with Dan, and you're losing all your matches in this tournament. But Dan, I think they've done a good job with as a junior guy. I think that's one good thing about this tournament in general, like a grand overall point, They they did a lot better job of incorporating the junior heavyweights in this year's tournament than we've seen in the past. It just didn't lead to anything much,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, Dan was another part of this. I really wish he could have gotten a like a big moment, and they didn't. They didn't go down that route.
The thing is, they're just such a fun team and so fun to watch. I just wish they got like a couple more wins. Like, I didn't think they were going to win the tournament. Like, they shouldn't win because they're such a new team, and there was only one team that could really win, to be honest.
I think they need to bring back Gugnir of Anarchy and put Dan in it.
And the sunglasses, yes.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. Give Dan the sunglasses. We've got a hot new program for 2025.
Why didn't I think of that? I love GOA.
Me too. I missed him so much. And Honda gets his old hair back.
Yes. Anyway, a match recommendation I do have for them is Ashino and Dan versus Amori and Arashi. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and the thing is, all of their matches were pretty good. It's not like the good thing about them is that they're such a solid team that you can always count on them. You're not gonna have crazy matches or anything like that where things fall apart. They're always gonna be so professional that they keep things in line to where you're like, hey, you can always count on them, like I said. So I'm a big fan of them as a team. I wish that they had more, like more love in the tournament for sure. But I just wish that the thing is, and it's just hard because I don't know where they can go as a team right now. After this tournament, it's not like they set anything up for them for the next year. I feel like maybe they'll like split them apart or something, like have them fight each other, like coming up, and it's a shame because they're good. I want them to continue as a team.
Okay, so next on 3 points, we have Musashi and Seki Yoshioka. And they were one of my favorite teams. Like, I love them so much. They had one of my favorite matches in Tag League, actually. They were never going to go far because they're juniors, and this was basically a heavyweight tournament. But they did really well. And it was just like, they got one more point than I thought they would. So, good for them. They couldn't overcome the odds, but they did their best, and we love them for it.
You're right about that. Again, same thing with Dan and Ashino. They're great wrestlers. Like they are a team that's been, and I think they really helped Musashi in particular, but also Yoshioka, really find their way in the company. Because when Musashi came in, he wasn't really lighting the world on fire. He really had to find his way into the tournament. But I think that he's a guy that has proven his worth. Like you said, especially in these like junior league matches, not junior league, tag league matches, where he's able to show himself as, the guy who could do that. And Yoshioka is I've always praised him as a worker. I just think he's a phenomenal talent overall. And like you said, to me, their match, I will say, like they didn't get a lot of points, but to go the distance in their match with Sekimoto and Mashimo was like awesome. When it happened, I was really happy that they got that moment.
Yeah, that was my match recommendation versus Sekimoto and Kango. That was great. I loved it so much.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Next up on 4 points, Mokoto Oishi and Mike Di Vecchio. So going into Tag League, I had no idea who these two guys were. I did a bit of research, learning Oishi's from DDT and Mike is Belgium. I love that he showed up to press conference just in like a tracksuit, street clothes, and a bum bag. I was like, yeah, this is the guy. He's so cool. But like after the first match, he was like completely over with the fans. I loved him. I didn't expect him to be a flippy guy. I thought, okay, this is just like a strong guy. Like he's got all these muscles, but nah, he flips. He flips good.
No, he flips. That is the exact reaction to Mike D. I think everyone had pretty much. The thing about him is, I have to say it was really endearing the last night of the tour when they put the whole match around him. He hit the shooting star to get the win, and the whole crowd like loved it. And he got so emotional over it. It made me really happy. It's like this guy. He like wants to be here, this isn't just some paycheck for him or a last ditch effort at trying to be relevant. He is a guy that actually truly wants to be in All Japan. And I just think that that's really endearing. And like you said, when he's at his peak, he's spectacular. He did have some slip ups. He's not perfect as a high flyer.
Yeah.
With his body type, you could see why that could be some problems. Like that could cause some problems for his style. But the crowd loved him. I know some people weren't into him and didn't like him that much because he does have kind of like a very modern indie-ish style, like a Brian Cage type of guy, like a little
Yeah.
bit about him. But I think that, like I said, he's got passion for it, and I think there's room. I think he'll be brought back to the company. To
Yeah,
be honest, I think
definitely.
I think they'll want him back, and I think he's earned his way back in.
Yeah. One thing I loved about this team is Oishi's like the lanky, like chicken shit guy. Like he's way over his head. And he'll just like tag Mike D and like Mike D will like power slam him. And then Oishi can get back in and just like do whatever he wants to do. And like Mike D was carrying Oishi after the match, like to the back because he's just like dead on the ground. I just thought that was so fun. Like, because
Yeah.
they're a makeshift tag team. They have no prior history, I don't think. For them to
No.
come together and just make this tag team really fun and the fans love it, I thought that was great. They did a really good job.
And it's just a weirdo team seeing them together.
Yeah.
Like these two could not be two different people, more different people. But they made it work. Oishi, I used to be a big fan of his. He was like a K Dojo guy. In DDT, he kind of found his niche as like a flash pin expert type of guy for a little while, but lower on the card. And then he had an injury that took him out for a while, and he's kind of fought his way back into it. And I don't know how this came about, like this team came about for him, but
Yeah.
God bless them. Like good for them. They, like you said, ultimately, whatever you think about them, the crowd was on their side, and especially Mike D by the end.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people online saying like Mike D, like please come back. There were Japanese fans and they were writing in English so he could understand it, which I
Yeah,
thought was really sweet. And they want him back.
yeah,
And he seems
yeah,
to
yeah,
want to come back. Like he said, I'll see you soon, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah.
hopefully we
He's
see
so
him again.
emotional at the end of the tour. Like I
Yeah.
definitely think he wants it. Yeah,
He could definitely fit in the carnival. I really want to see him
yeah.
versus Anzai.
I want to see everybody versus Onsai.
Yeah, true.
I agree with
Match
you.
recommendations for them is I have two. So Sato Brothers and Amore and Arashi.
Yeah, the Saito brothers was my favorite of
Mm.
theirs too. Like, I thought that just it's such a great thing to have him against big guys too. I think that really fits with Mike D's style, and it's comedy with Oishi, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so on 6 points was Hokuto Amore and Kuma Arashi. Tell me if you agree with me that Amore's
Okay.
true calling is tag team specialist.
Hmm. I think so. I think that's the best thing he could do right now. But how can he be a tag team specialist when he's the leader of the group, the Hokuto Army?
Why not?
Then he needs a co-leader. There needs to be. They need to call it
No. He can just say he's a leader.
Hokuto
He can say, I'm the leader, I'm doing tag team now.
Hokuto Kuma Army is what I want this new group to be called. Thoughts?
No, just give Hokuto something. He deserves something. He's worked hard. You know,
Okay,
what
fine.
thing is like he had that run with Nakajima last year in Tag League, which was perfect. He had the run
That was a lot
with
better than this one, to
um
be honest.
Yusuke Kadama when they were
Yeah,
all Asian champions. They were really, really
that's
good.
right.
So
Yeah.
I think he can transition to more of a tag team wrestler, like really easily.
Man, I miss Kodama.
I know. Same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm thinking about now. I didn't even remember that, but um, no, like Hokuto's, he was a guy I really liked a lot early in his career, and he he's really like touched like he's touched reaching his potential, but I don't think he ever actually has.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like he's shown flashes of being what I think he could have been, but I think now with this Hokuto Army stuff, he's kind of settling in to that role, and I think yeah, a tag team run would be good, but if that happens, okay, let me put it this way: I will submit to your idea of him being a tag worker, but who is the singles guy in Hokuto Army?
Cyrus.
Yes, I love him very much. We all know that I'm the original Cyrus Respector. But then Hartley's out in the cold if that happens. See, so you got to weigh these things out a little bit.
Well, I mean,
So
like
I
look at the Sato brothers, yeah? They're a tag
yeah,
team, but every once in a while, one of them go for the belt.
true.
So they could
Okay,
just do that.
okay. I'll buy that. But I think what you're really saying is you want to see Jack Kennedy go on a big singles run.
I don't remember a single match he's been in.
I'm sorry, Jack. So I applaud you for your life that you're living. You're living your best life, but I can't make Jessica do everything.
No offense, but
Hokuto
anyway,
Kuma, good team.
yeah. No, he had fun this year. I think last year, he was really stressed about Nakajima. Nakajima was kind of like ripping off his t-shirt at one point because he wants to be a
Yeah.
t-shirt wrestler, just like Naito, but Nakajima wouldn't allow it. But here he's having more fun. Like I love when he's like trying to get Arashi's attention. He's yelling at Arashi, Arashi, like just over and over again. I love that. But good team, very enjoyable. They got more wins than I expected them to get. And yeah,
You
match
have to respect
recommendations. Just them versus Mike and Oishi, like I said.
you have to respect the Hokuto army. Okay,
Yes.
they had no choice but to work them strong. But I do love how earlier you were on your you brought us a Jess rant on Davy Boy. Did you throw a shot fired at Tetsuya Naito of all people?
No, he wrestles in
Have
a
you
t-shirt a lot. You know that.
is this the show where you decide to address your enemies like Eddie Kingston in AEW?
Naito's not my enemy. I like him. I've seen him wrestle live. I went to that show just for him.
Oh,
Give me some
that's
credit.
adorable. I do. I apologize. I'm taking it back. Naito is cool. He just
Yeah.
wrestles in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the truth. Come on.
It is. I mean, you spoke facts. Like all the languages in the world that you could speak, and you
Facts.
spoke facts. Exactly.
So on 7 points, we had Daisuke Sekimoto and Kengo Mashimo. So these two guys are actually very familiar with All Japan's tag league, but like not as partners. Sekimoto obviously tagged with Okabayashi, and Kengo had a couple of different guys, but I really enjoyed his team with Kazuma Sakamoto.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
But I just
I
thought
just
these
miss
two
him.
were good. They worked well together, obviously. You're getting 7 points.
Kengo and Sekimoto, they rule. Like I said,
Yeah.
I was so happy. I was so happy that Kengo got brought back, especially because he's been missed all of this time. I think he's a guy that uh, when I first started watching, he was one of my favorites, and he has a long history, even longer than you might think. I mean, he was around like before, like Kento really like did his thing. Like
Yeah.
he was around when in the what was his name? Kenzo was the top heel. Dark Kingdom, like he was involved in all of that. The guy was getting a big push back then. It was a weird time back in 2013, all Japan. But he is a legendary indie guy. Sekimoto, everybody knows him well.
Yeah.
And I was so hyped to see them wrestle, and I fell in love with them all over again, and I'm really glad that everybody got the chance to see this run.
I know that Sekimoto is teaming with Hideki to take on the Saito brothers for the titles, but I think if he sticks with Kengo, they could be a legit threat to any of the tag team champions, so Anzai or Haito or the Saito brothers, because they're really good. And I am wary of outsider teams because we've had really crappy outsiders like since I've been watching All Japan, but I was really happy with this outsider team. And match recommendation is them versus Anzai and Haito.
Yeah, that match ruled. I thought the Musashi and Seiki match was great as well. You know, all of their matches were pretty good. I thought they were pretty solid. I will say this. Okay, I had one criticism. There were some matches where it felt like Sekimoto did not tag in that much. To be honest, I think he took some nights off. To be
Yeah.
honest, to rest himself. I will give him that. So Kengo had to be a little bit of the workhorse of this team.
Well, lucky Kengo's good. He's fun to watch.
True.
Next up on 8 points is Rising Hayato Numa Anzai. And just to be honest, I think the Satos had this block locked down. But if there was any other team that was going to win, it had to be Hayato and Anzai. There was nobody else. They did make the semifinals, like we said before, so that's something. They are a good team, but they're still new. So I didn't think they would win this block, but I did expect them to do good, and they did good. But they're just so much fun. They're so much fun to watch. They're just so good. And the fans love them so much. And I'm really digging this All Asia run. It could really be something if they hold the belts for the long run.
And I think it's something that shows the great versatility of Anzai, especially. And obviously, Hayato as well, to be in this position, to be credible in this spot. He deserves a ton of credit. You know, he's a guy that just, his wrestling's good, but Hayato carries himself like in such a strong way. Like just his entrance when he's, gets in the ring, like they're playing that song that he has there. That like totally grunge song that he comes out to. He just carries himself like such a unique presence on the roster. And when it comes down to it, he can wrestle good. But Anzai, this was the Triple Crown guy like a few months ago. And he was able to like dodge any kind of fall off when he lost the belt and turn him not being the Triple Crown champion into a way to help not just himself as a tag team, but also rising Hayato as a young star, young junior, putting him in this new position with the All Asia run. So Anzai deserves credit for many things this year, and we all love him and want to marry him. But he, yes. That maybe that's just me. But the point is, he's a great performer, and I think that he deserves even more credit than he gets because he is really important to the company and vital to not just himself but also the other people on the roster.
Yeah, 100% true. I just thought if there was one team to watch during Tag League from Block A, I would say Rising Hayato and Anzai. Like, I love Junior Ray, but we know what they're about. They just dominated everything, while Anzai and Hayato had to dig deep to win. Like, they lost their first 2 matches.
We know what they're about. They're bringing the doom.
Yeah.
But Rising Hayato and Anzai, El Pita, if you know them personally like I do, they brought the great wrestling, and I totally agree with you. If there was like an MVP award for this block, they would get it for real. I thought they did an excellent job, and like you said, ultimately, to a lot of people, these tag leagues, they can drag on to a lot of people, but they made all of their matches very interesting and good, and they deserve a lot of credit for that.
What's your honest opinion when you first saw Anzai and Hayato tagging together? Because I was thinking, like, how is this going to work?
I was thinking, man, I really like the Anzai and Honda team.
Yeah.
And like I'm going to miss them. But these Anzai, I think probably you could. I think if you tagged with Anzai, he would make it work.
Yeah.
Like he could literally tag with anybody on the planet and create a great tag team overall. I mean, it worked. I mean, they're totally different styles of characters too. Like, there's nothing grungy about Anzai or punk rock or anything like that. Like, he's about as clean cut as you can be. Like, he's a guy that's kind of like a less goofy version of Aoyagi. Like, almost like he's more straight laced. Like, Aoyagi's got this charisma about him, whereas Anzai, he's like the polite, straight-laced version, whereas Aoyagi could like joke about you and joke about himself, and Anzai wants to be like a heroic babyface ace character, which he is. Like,
Anzai
he's very good.
is the heir to the ace from Kento.
Yeah.
Honda is heir to the fool from Yuma.
Yes, even though he's not that much younger. Like, Aoyagi's not even that old. He's already passing down his lineage. No? Love it.
Oh, and also match recommendation was Junior and Ray, because that match was great.
That match was really good. Also, the semifinal match with Davey and Kento was really strong. I do have to say that was like by far like Davey Boy, like you said, he's kind of a drag on these shows, but that match they really brought the best out of both of them, and
Yeah.
the Musashi and Yoshioka match was really good too. I thought they had.
Say basically every match.
As I said, who is betting against Anzai at this point? I
In
remember
tag
last
league,
year,
probably yes, but like any other match, no.
even in tag league, he did good.
Yeah.
I remember last year I put him up. I said that he should be considered one of the wrestlers of the year at the end of last year, before even his title run, and everybody looked at me like I was nuts and like, no, dude, it's too early.
Hmm.
And now, like a few months later, look at this now. Like he's proven to me he is one of the absolute best wrestlers in any company,
Yeah.
and shining diamond for All Japan. Hey, can I ask you one thing before we move on, though?
Yes.
What do you think about Hayato's prospects going forward? Because it's like this is kind of cool. Like this is crazy that they're doing this tag team, and he's getting to mix it up with these heavyweights. Do you think he's somebody that could like be a guy they push as like a main event type of player in the future?
In the junior division, 100%, especially now that Asuki's coming back. Because they've
Yeah,
main evented before. And I think we need someone as strong in the junior division as Anzai was in his Triple Crown reign. Because it's really lacking.
Yeah.
No offense to Doi, but like he should have given up the belt because he's injured.
Well, I do agree. Look at that. More of your enemies getting called out, put on blast on the show. Yeah. I call him Naruki Saito as well.
Mr.
But
Saito.
yeah, Mr. Saito. Yes, of course. But the thing is, Hayato's run really didn't pop things off that good earlier in the year either. And I think they kind of wanted more out of that. But they didn't give up on him. In fact, they kind of gave him like a promotion. Like you're teaming with, like you said, the heir to the ace of the company now in this major tag team, like one of the top tag teams of Tag League. It kind of made me think, like, do you think they like maybe they could move him up or something one day? I mean, he's really small, but maybe they could give him like a champion carnival run as a junior. They did that with Aoki like years ago, like kept him as a junior but put him in the carnival. They never did it with Hikaru Sato, no matter how much I prayed and begged for it.
I don't know, because the thing is, you see people when they're juniors and you're thinking they could never be heavyweights. Like Yuma Aoyagi, people was like, they thought he would be junior forever. Thing is, I see Dan moving to the heavyweights. Hayato, no. Maybe in the future, but right now I can't see it at all.
What if Hayato put on some weight?
I don't know. I think like his body, how it looks now, like with the muscle he has, I think it looks fine. Especially with like punk rock, you think a punk rocker guy is going to be like, all muscly and stuff.
Or what if he just got fat?
No.
Listen, he just ate a lot. Like he's like he ate the chenko for like 3 months straight. I could get down with that though. I said
he's a flippy guy.
He is. He's great as he is. Like he's got a great look now. Like his look is not any kind of problem at all. He's very unique. As I said, he carries himself in such a great way that he feels like a star player. I just think that they didn't have room for him when he was the champion. Like you said, him and Atsuki did have that moment where they main evented, but I didn't feel like they went all the way with him, even though he was champion earlier in the year. But it feels like they're giving him more now. So I just kind of thought, like, he's got star. He's a star. Like, he could be that if they want to do it.
That's what I mean. Like, things have changed now, especially since he joined Alpida. He has an All-Asia title, so things could be different now. Give him the junior belt and see how he goes. We need somebody to rule the division like we used to have. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah, and like you said, I think Atsuki coming back will be is a great step forward for next year. Yeah.
Okay, so the winners of A Block, Jun and Rei Saito, they ended with 12 points. And before we get to the wrestling, we have to talk about it. Rei made a strange decision and shaved off his beard. And I don't know, it's devastating fans all over the world. Doesn't look good. The beard made his character. Because I was telling you, like, off stream, he has this like wild, crazy character, and the beard fits. And now it's just like he looks like a kid. He looks like the little brother that he is to Jun.
I am personally offended that you do not like clean-shaven people right now
No,
on
just
there.
Ray.
Okay, just him then. I won't take it personal then. But he's like I told you too. I responded that he kind of reminds me of with the clean shave. He's kind of like when he first came in, like when they were just wrestler guys. You know, like we got the sumo background, like we're clean cut, and they really grew a lot over the years into these characters they are now that we all know and love. And the losing the beard was just I don't know. I don't know why he did it. Like, give us an explanation, right? I'm not like Jessica, where I'm going to put you down. I shave too, but I want to hear an explanation. We deserve that, in my opinion, and we have not gotten that yet, unfortunately. So until that happens, you're right. He let us all down.
He's making jokes now, like, oh, it's different because it's so cold now without my beard. It's like, we'll grow it back. Stop making stupid jokes.
Everyone hated this. I thought it was so weird that you did it. I love it. I just love it because it's in all honesty, it's such a minor thing. You know, but it made a difference. It really does. Like, I don't know why. Maybe I need to grow a beard too. Like I said, maybe I think me and Ray we're on that same wavelength here. He's my inspiration in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people have compared us over the years. So I really hope so. I really hope he can get it together and make everyone love him again. I still love him.
Yeah. Anyway, to the wrestling now, like there was really one word for these guys, and it was like domination. They were just absolutely unstoppable, and they deserve to be so. Like they've been on top of All Japan's tag league for the whole year, and no one's come close to knocking them from their position. The only people who knocked them down a peg and made them lose the titles is them themselves when Ray got injured. They are the ones who can take them down. Like I don't know who will take the belts off them. I cannot see a team that will pin them. I don't know.
Do you think that they'll just have the title for like a Roman Reigns level title reign years straight? No one can beat them.
The things I honestly don't know. I'm so confused about the tag team scene. Not in a bad way. I just don't know who will beat them.
And the thing is, not only are they cool and awesome and we love them, they're super popular. And you know, it makes me happy to see them and how much they've grown over the years, because there was a time where people hated them. Like they were like, the Saito brothers suck, like, and all this. And the Voodoo Murders run was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie about that. But once they got out of that, once they got away from Taru, and they started wrestling back on their own again, they became awesome pretty much immediately after. And now everybody loves them. And it's so great to see. Like you said, All Japan knows what they have in these guys.
Yeah.
Well, they clearly know. One of them was main eventing the biggest show of the year, like coming up. But they know what they have in these guys. They deserve a lot of credit for not only having the great tag run, but also creating two single stars out of this tag team.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do, where you can have singles guys and a tag team both be main eventers at the same time, to the point where they very nearly won the Tokyo Sports MVP as a tag team.
They did. True.
They got robbed, in my opinion.
They got tag team of the year, obviously. Like all other tag teams got 0. No other tag team scored a single point. It all went to the Saitos.
Well, who can blame them? Like, of course they won.
I know that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I think that something tells me, and I don't know, maybe some people will call me a conspiracy theorist right now, but I think that vote was rigged against the Saito brothers.
MVP.
Yes. I'm not buying it. Nah, I think that vote was rigged because they wanted a New Japan guy to win it.
They don't want a New Japan guy. New Japan owns that award, basically.
Shocking evidence that I'm presenting to you. New Japan has won it for so many years in a row. I'm just saying, connect the dots, people. I think the Saito brothers were robbed, and we need to protest Tokyo Sports.
I'll protest when I'm in Japan. Outside
I'm
Tokyo
counting
Sports
on you.
office.
I'm counting on you to do just that, and that's why I went to you with this because I know you're the one. You're the only one I could trust. I couldn't trust Stringer with this. He's not gonna do this. He doesn't care about these awards. But I know you care. You love the Saito brothers too much to let this slide.
The thing is, I like that other people are loving Saito brothers who don't know who they are because they're getting recognized like just outside Japanese media because they were 7th in PWI's Tag Team of the Year, which is awesome. Like for them to be in the top 10, I'm like, hell yeah.
They totally deserve it because they're just awesome. Like I mean, there's not much you can say about them. Like you said, we know what they're about already, and you knew what they were going to bring to the table in this league, and they did it. So you have to really praise them for that. That they're so consistent in what they want to do.
One more point I want to make, which I just thought was really cute, June. Him taking out his ponytail. Sometimes he had so much trouble, and like I feel him on such a deep level. I understand your pain and frustration. I get it. And match recommendation, any. Just pick any that they win.
They're all fun. Although I will say you were flawless when you tied your hair up earlier.
Yeah, but I'm talking about taking it down. That's different.
Well, you're not going to do that because it's 10 zillion degrees where you are right now.
True.
But still, like you said, and he's an inspiration to anyone. Both of them have great hair, in my opinion. Very, very nice hair.
Yes.
Even without the beard, still giving Ray his props on his hair.
We move on to B Block, and I just want to say before we start, B Block was my least favorite. And also, there's so many comedy wrestlers in this that do a lot of comedy. There's probably 3 or 4 that don't. Like Davey Boy, Ren, Cyrus, and Jackson, but just I don't know. I don't think they split the blocks evenly after watching Tag League.
You're right about that. And like I said, I'll never forget, and I'll hold it against him forever. When I said that All Japan was full of goofballs, and Striga tried to argue with me about it on my show, and he said that the Bears, Andre's a Giant Panda, and Kumagoro. He said, no, they don't belong in All Japan. And I said, no, they do belong in All Japan.
That was a great match.
It was. And I said that myself. I tried to explain myself, but the people were not buying it. And again, I told you the weights of history in All Japan goes deep. People think of them as this serious company, but what they don't realize is everyone's silly. And and it's part of their appeal, of course. But in terms of like, the problem is that's cool, like especially if they're on social media or they're in a match, and you're just watching one big show. When you're watching 10 shows in a row as part of a tag league, it can get a little old when there are so many goofy people in the same block. And do you think I want to come on here and criticize Yuma Aoyagi?
Hey, this is the Yuma Aoyagi criticize free zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I approve of that, and that's how it should be because we all love him.
Yeah.
And I was the one who coined the Fool Era as a term.
Okay.
See, exactly. She admits it, even though she tried to paint me into a corner with this comedy wrestling talk on there, which we have not gotten to yet, and I still may say some things, but we will see.
Well, let's start with the first 2 goofballs. Your favorite? Kurisho Tokyo Japan and Seiki Tachibana. They got 2 points.
No, I did not agree to this.
You might not like this, but I like this team. They just work. And the thing is, Jiro was great in Champion Carnival, but I think he works well in Tag League because he has Tachibana there with him. And Tachibana's great. I love watching him wrestle. They were never going to score high. Even if they got 0, I could believe that. But it wasn't that bad, really. You just skip the entrance. Just fast forward the entrance.
Are you going to do that? How are you going to do that when you're live once again?
Yeah. Well, live's different. Live is different.
What are you going to do when he strolls up to a child and makes them cry and ruins their life like he did?
Well, the thing is, he brought a bunch of kids in the ring. And they didn't cry. They were running around and having a good time. And that was really fun to watch. That was really sweet.
Okay, so in all honesty, their first match is probably like legit my favorite match of the tournament. The one against Cyrus and Hartley after the like they introduced everybody. That was awesome. Like legitimately, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how much I loved that match
Yeah.
because it was so awesome. Everything about it was great. We'll talk more about Cyrus and Hartley, but they were great as like babyface guys. Like they didn't have time to do the entrance or any of that stuff. They went right to the match. It was like literally like a bunch of brawling, and then like they had like 2 or 3 minutes of actual wrestling, but it's longer than it says on Cage Match, to be honest. The match time,
Oh.
because yeah, they had more. There was more time because everybody brawled in that segment, but
Yeah.
I love that match so much. Like it was such an amazing performance, and Jiro was great in it.
Yeah.
Like he was great. And Sego, we all love him. Like there's no doubt about that. He's had a fantastic year. But he's awesome. And they were, they played their role. Again, maybe if they were in the other block, I would have liked. I think I'll say that about a lot of teams actually in P block. Like if they had flipped to A block and they were the only comedy team, I think they could have stood out a lot more. But in B block, it was kind of hard. There weren't really a lot of great matches. But that first one was spectacular against Cyrus and Hartley. Like I love that match. Besides that, they had. They wrestled a lot, but nothing too stand out to me. Maybe against Honda and Ayabe, like I said, because that's another big guy team that they could kind of bounce around with. That's
I
kind of their
liked, the Yuma and Abe match that they had against them.
yeah.
That was pretty fun.
The thing is, I'm it's an immortal feud that I have with that feud of Yuma and Jiro. So it's impossible for me to like it, even if like someone tried to pay me off to like it.
Yeah.
Nobody's done that yet. But even if they did, I would reject it. I have to stick to my principles.
Okay, so 4 points. So we had Karasato and Yuko Miyamoto. I think when it came to these two, the most important thing that happened during Tag League is Miyamoto winning the Goro TV title
Yes.
and knocking Suwama and Hideki out of the running for Tag League finals. I thought they were going to be the spoiler team because they were facing, Suwama on the last day. So I'm like, okay, they're going to be the spoiler team, and they obviously were. I don't really have much to say. Like, they were fun. I don't know. They were just this weird team that was in there.
Yeah, they're really weird. Like I think is the main point of all of this. I will say, like Miyamoto's match was pretty awesome that he had against Sego. Like that was a really overachieving match. They're another team. I think I like their match with Abe and Yuma better than Jiro and Sego's, but you weren't getting great match quality. They're just Sato, man. I love him so much, but he's not. I don't know how I feel about his personality sometimes. I'm really mixed. Sometimes he's funny. Yeah. Sometimes maybe not. Sometimes I could do without it. And that's the problem too. Another problem with everybody being silly. All of these guys are great wrestlers on their own. Like if Sato wanted to say, all right, we're going to be a great tag team, me and Miyamoto. Like we're going to kill it this tour. They could have a great tournament. Yeah. But instead they choose to do this goofy stuff overall. Again, just like I said about the other team, and even more so with this because Jiro I don't think is very good. Sego I love, but I don't think Jiro is a great in-ring wrestler. He's not my GOAT. Let's just put it that way. But Sato and Miyamoto are both highly accomplished and talented wrestlers. We've seen Sato have a ton of great matches before. Miyamoto's a veteran. His team with Kodaka is legendary. And he just had a great match with Sego. So if they wanted to have a great wrestling team, they could do it. But that was the thing. This tour was ultimately a battle of choices. And the B block, a lot of people made the same choices. And that's why I think it didn't hold up to the other one.
The thing I like about Miyamoto, he was brought in as a Suwama replacement for Royal Road. And now he's a Goro TV title champion. Like, okay. In a couple of months, he went from replacement to champion.
I mean, he is the ultimate underdog story of our lifetime. I think most people would agree with that. And he's worked his way up to the prestigious Garo TV title, where every true main eventer wants to be. It's just a matter of time before Kento comes knocking, looking for that big singles match for the TV title.
They're trying to make it special. Give them some credit.
I think Sego actually did, especially the
Yeah.
first go around. And I thought he made it worth something, and that's like miraculous considering where it was last year. I mean, this is the title of Yoshitatsu back in the day, but he made it mean something. Sego did, and maybe Miyamoto can continue that lineage.
And like match recommendation, Suwama versus Hideki. I thought it was pretty good actually.
Yeah, and I like the Aoyagi and Abe
Hmm.
match as well.
So Yuma Aoyagi and Fuminori Abe, they got 6 points. And when Kento was announced he'll be teaming with Davey Boy, I thought, well, who the hell is Yuma teaming with? My dumb heart was saying Naoya Nomura, but my brain was like, no,
I
you're an
wish.
idiot. Stop thinking about him. He's
You're
never coming
not an
back.
idiot. That was your heart talking. That was your heart talking. That wasn't your
Yeah.
brain.
But when they announced him with Abe, I was like, okay, this works. Like,
Yeah, I
no-
mean, it's totally random, but yeah.
like the thing is, when Yuma was being dragged off from the Royal Road day one, wasn't Abe there, like dragging him off as well?
We don't have to remember that, okay?
Thing is, like, they're a good team. They were never going to win, to be honest. I don't know. I just want more for Yuma.
I know, and that's the problem with this. It's nothing against them. They are goofy and they're funny. Like they're actually like to me in terms of comedy, they're one of the more better comedic teams. You know, like they're actually fun. It's just we know that they could be like have great matches, and Yuma especially could be a top guy.
Yeah.
This is not a main event team like with Abe, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I mean they're great and I love them. But like you said, you want them to have more, and especially Aoyagi. You know, I think Abe is very happy just being this goofy guy, but Aoyagi could be a lot more.
Yeah. Like, I will say they did mix comedy with serious wrestling pretty good, I reckon, out of most of the comedy teams. And I did
I agree
like
with
the Sato versus Miyamoto match they had.
Yeah, that was my pick too. That was good. Their match with Kento and Davey Boy was one of their better. You could never get enough Yuma and Kento interactions really in any scene. It's because Davey Boy was there. That's okay. It wasn't that great that where you have to rush and watch it, but it was good. And the Sato and Miyamoto match was good too. So like you said, I agree with what you said though that of the teams that blended comedy, they were probably the best at it. Like I said. But again, put them in A block. They could have stood out a lot better.
Okay. So with so many teams, matches, and like outside stuff in the real world going on, like teams fell to the side, I will say. And these two teams fell to the side for me. So that was Suwama and Hideki Suzuki and Cyrus and Hartley Jackson. They both got 6 points. I thought they did their job. They were fine. But I thought Jackson and Cyrus were a lot more fun.
Just like I said, I love their first match against Jiro and Seiko. That's like my favorite match of the tournament. As goofy as that is to say, I loved it. After that, I mean, I've always been a Cyrus defender on there. He's another one that I've always taken up for, and I think he adds something special. You know, he's got a very unique spot in the company. Hartley, I love him. Like he's a really cool guy, and a guy that's been a veteran of the scene. So to see him in these spots that he's in is always great. And I think they make a pretty good team, like two bruiser guys. You know, they make a lot of logical sense. Hideki and Suwama, I have no positive words for, unfortunately. And anybody who knows me, Hideki was one of my favorite wrestlers for a long time, and he's still one of my favorites in a lot of ways. Another secret goofball. But them as a team just has never done it for me. Like not one time since they started this. I've never been a fan of it, and I don't think they did that much better. The main event of the first night that they had was good enough. You know, and so I'm not saying they're bad. They're talented guys, but for some reason their dynamic just does not work. And they tried to actually tone down a lot of their like infighting stuff that they usually do.
Yeah.
They did less of that this tour, so that was kind of good, but they just could not get to any better level.
Well, with Suwama stepping down and scaling back his schedule, probably the last you see of these two, so you'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where,
Yeah.
you know, I would like to see what both men could do. I like them better on their own. You know, like they don't need to do that at the end of the day. So we'll see what comes of it going forward. Maybe Hideki can get a new partner. Maybe Hideki can be Aoyagi's next tag partner.
Maybe. But I just want to say,
But
like, I don't think these two teams did bad just because I don't have much to say about them. I did
yeah,
enjoy Suwama and Hideki versus Jiro and Tachibana and Cyrus and Jackson versus Yuma and Abe. I thought that was really fun. And just Cyrus just piling barricade after barricade on Yuma. He's like lying dead on the chairs. I thought that was
yes,
so much fun.
that was good.
Yeah.
That was very funny. I like Cyrus and Hartley. I thought they had a good tournament
Yeah.
actually. Um, like I said, Hideki and Suwama, they're not my style of team, and I'm not a big fan of theirs. But I mean, they were okay. Like I said, they tried to tone it down a little bit and do better than they did before. But I just don't think they really had anything stand out. Maybe they're another one that if you put them in the tag, in the A block, that could mean
Yeah.
something more. But them especially because they, like I said, it felt like they tried to make an effort to be a little bit more serious.
Hmm.
But I don't know if it played out that way.
I think their comedy comes from like scaring the other teams. So yeah, they do play serious, but they can lean into comedy.
Yeah, they are like a comedic team deep down. I've looked at them as less, not that serious team, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Yeah.
But one of my favorite teams, Ricky Honda and Rana Yabe, they ended with 8 points. And I adore the energy these two bring. Honda is just a ball of excitement, while Ayabe looks like the older brother who was forced by his mum to take younger brother Honda out. But over time, Ayabe loosened up a bit, I reckon. I just, I had this hope that they would reach the finals and Ayabe would join in Honda's dance.
Oh my
One day,
God.
I'm holding on to that hope that one day it happens.
What's wrong with you?
But
You said that you didn't have the confidence to do Honda's dance, and now you're
yeah,
trying to put Ayabe to do it?
yeah, well, he
A
goes
bit,
out and wrestles. That's more confidence than I have.
but he's big. Like he doesn't want to dance.
It's like when Kensho did the Nagata dance, and then he said he's too shy, he'll
Yeah.
never do it again, which is like the biggest lie in the world.
Yeah, him of all people
Yeah.
saying that. Um, it feels like to me, Honda is like his role in this company, like his once he retires or whatever, and books are written about his career as one of the greatest legends who ever lived.
Yeah.
Once we write that and we get to the chapter in 2024, Honda, he only serves, well, not only, but his main purpose is to bring charisma out of younger people, it
Yeah.
feels like. They did it with Anzai, had him doing those goofy videos, which I loved, by the
Hmm.
way. I thought was awesome. With
Yeah.
Anzai on Twitter and all that. Now they put him with Ayabe to try to bring more out of him as well. Like Honda is the one they turn to when they need help
Yeah.
with a young player. It seems like, and he did it again. Like you said, he kind of loosened Ayabe up a little bit in this tournament.
And the thing is, they are so different, their personalities, but
Yeah,
they work really well together. Like, I would never think to team these two guys together, but they're great. They're so much fun in the ring, and they're a really, really good team. And I reckon in the upcoming years, they're going to have the belts.
yeah. If they keep it together, like I said, I thought Honda and you know, um, Anzai had a great
Yeah.
chemistry together. So if they could just keep this group going, maybe they're happy with how things are right now with the team pairings. Yeah, this could be this could definitely be a tag team. Like I could see them being the ones to beat the Saitos whenever they do that. 12 years from now, ultimately.
Honda is a former tag team champion with Ashino, and I thought that tag team would never end. And I thought
I
that she,
know. I love that team.
I thought the Ansai team would never end. Now he's with Ayabe, and now I want them to win the belts because I just love them.
I think that's the main point of this show that we're doing. we really want Gungnir of Anarchy back. Like GOA. Like, so we need them back, all Japan. Bring them back, put Dan in there, give him the shades, and put Honda and Ashino as a tag team, and make them be the next tag champions. And the company will be perfect, pretty
Well, if
much.
you remember, Tachibana and Kadama were in that group as well.
Yeah.
Bring them in.
Yeah, bring him back. Yeah, bring them in. I wonder what happened to Kodama. I liked him. I think he's in Gleet.
Probably. Oh, he's part
Which
of,
is
isn't he part of like, was it Yan's family or something?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Being in Gleet is like being in a void of non-existence,
Mm.
practically. So one day he can escape.
Yeah.
But if not, Dan can just take his place if he can never escape from Gleet. And we'll bring Seigo and Honda and Ashino together.
Anyway, match I want to recommend is Kento and his partner because they gave them their only loss. And also the semifinals against the Saito brothers because they just mesh really well.
How do you think Ayabe's come along now that the year's ending? You know, because he started off at like he's always been tall. Like he has never not been tall. But in ring wise, he was like more. I mean, remember this was before he even had the makeover and stuff at the start of the year. Like they've really put a lot behind him and given him time. How do you think he's handled it?
Yeah, I was looking at photos from my Japan trip because I needed photos for an article I wrote, and I came across Ayabe, and I'm just like, this isn't the same guy. Like, how is this the same guy I'm watching now? Like,
Who is this man?
yeah, it's just remember he had that weird tag team that lasted like a week with Doi. They even had a name. I can't remember what the name was.
I
But
vaguely remember this.
yeah, it was just he has improved so much in ring, outside the ring. His confidence, he's just gone up so many levels, and just like I'm so happy for him because I thought Suji's gone. That means Iyabe's gone. But he's really coming to his own. Like he doesn't need Suji there with him.
I totally agree with that. He was clearly a project for him before he left. I felt like he was kind of the chosen like successor to
Yeah.
the Violent Giants kind of. And like you said, he's had such a glow up, not just in the clothes and the hair, and all of that. Just how he carries himself, I think he's really shown a lot of growth in
Yeah.
that end. The wrestling quality, he proved against Aoyagi that he's capable with
That
the
was
right
great.
person. Yeah, like I wouldn't say he's a great worker right now or a great wrestler right now, but against Aoyagi, he proved he can at least get there, like with the right person. And a testament to how great Aoyagi is as well. Like that deserves a lot of props too. But he did his part as well. So he couldn't have had that match a year prior. So it shows you that he has grown a lot, and they have a lot of plans for him. All I want is for him to clap his hands harder before the drop kick that he throws. If he does that weak clap, I'm out automatically.
And also, in his second ever match as an All Japan wrestler, he pinned Kento. It took Yuma, 6-7 years to pin Kento? Ayabe,
Why?
second match.
Why can't they give Aoyagi nice things?
Yeah, but they had a story, a really good story about his first win over Kento, so I'm okay with that.
But they ruined it.
Ayabe's tall. He can pin Kento. It's okay.
That's true. Yeah, it's nothing against Ayabe. It's
Yeah.
more about who interrupted Yuma's celebration afterwards.
Mm. It hurts my heart still to this day. Oh well. Okay, let's talk about Kento. We do have to talk about him. 'Cause he won Book B with Davey Boy 10 points.
Single-handedly.
Yeah. I don't know. I literally said Kento was amazing. He wrestled Tag League all by himself. Got to give him major props for that.
See, I like that segment. You went, you made sure to like gloss over Davey's name earlier, but then you brought him up again. You're like, oh, him and his partner
Yeah.
did this. Yeah, whoever that was. The
But
thing
like, do you
is,
remember his last outsider partner was Takuya Nomura? Like, what a downgrade.
he might come back. I mean, he's leaving Big Japan, so
Mm.
who knows? Like I said, this might be a good spot for him. He'd be a welcome person to bring in, to be honest, for all kinds of reasons.
Definitely.
The thing is, as stupid as he is, like as much of him in whatever he is, they have put a lot of stock into him and this team, particularly with Kento. Like, they started off with the double X shirts and all that stuff. They seem to have been building to some kind of breakdown in this team that would lead to a singles match. I think we all kind of thought that, oh, something would happen. Kento, he would turn on Kento, and then Kento would get the title shot and beat him for the Triple Crown. Instead, they went a totally different way. So it makes me wonder, what was the point of this team, ultimately?
Well, I think he's going to challenge after. I don't think Junior will win, first off. So I think Kento will challenge.
Don't say that.
And then, I don't know, have the title match on the 2nd or 3rd of January.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Short notice, but, who knows what they have planned.
Well,
I'm
have a
hoping
title
for
match on the 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they do. For sure. Yeah, that could work, for sure. And, Kento, like you said, he's always great. Nobody quite gets, like, crowd connection the way he does. It doesn't matter who he's teaming with, who he's facing, what building they're in. Like, he just makes it work one way or the other. And he does that always. And he puts a lot... Another thing I like about him, too, a lot of these ace characters in the past are like... Everybody can bring up, oh, so-and-so had a 5-star match here when he was in the world title of the Tokyo Dome or the Sumo Hall or whatever.
Yeah.
Kento never doesn't try. Like, he always tries his hardest. He's not like a big match guy where he shows up for the big matches then takes tours off. He always puts max effort in all of his matches and every place he goes. I think that deserves it. And that's the reason why he's lasted so long where he's at. And I think is because he's not one of these guys that quits on smaller shows. Like, he tries to make fans everywhere he goes, everywhere counts. And he proved it this tour. Again, every match counted to him.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think he really is. I can see, honestly, why they put these two together, because he covers a lot of Davey Boy's deficiencies, like the world's blandest wrestler with the world's most charismatic wrestler. that carries a lot of weight, like, ultimately, and helped. And like I said, objectively speaking, I don't like what he did. I don't like how he wrestles, but this team was good in the tournament. If you're looking at it objectively, they had a lot of the best matches for a lot of teams. And again, I put that a lot of Kento, obviously. But, I mean, they were, in terms of in-ring quality, if you're just going to look at it like that, they had a good run. And, I mean, the final, it wasn't nearly as good as last year. And that's another thing. I mean, I'm not any kind of fan of Nakajima at all, like I mentioned. But that was a fantastic match, even though I was bummed out how Yagi took the fall to Hokuto. But it was a fantastic match. This was not a fantastic match, but it was a good match in a league where a lot of guys were not putting in max effort. I mean, like, that's what it was. Like, a lot of these comedy teams did not want to go as hard as Kento went, and that's why he stood out to me.
One thing I will say that I am bummed they ended Kento's streak of never winning the opening round. Like, I think this was the 8th year it was going to be of him never having a win in round 1. And they're just like, no, we're just going to get rid of it. But a streak they kept, which I don't like, is this is the 5th year Kento's been in Tag League finals. Give someone else a chance. You don't need to be in the finals of Tag League. It's been 5 years. That's enough.
He will never release his grip on Real World Tag League supremacy, no matter who his partners are.
Yeah, this is 5th year, but 3rd different partner. Yuma Yagi, Takuya Nomura, David Boy.
Well, I think it's kind of good, too, that they didn't team him and Aoyagi together again, just because we've been there and done that so much. To see them in it again would be kind of like overkill. Even though I think it would have brought the best out of Aoyagi more than his team with Abe did. So they at least tried something different. It didn't really work for me or a lot of fans, but I could see why they did it how they did it. Ultimately. And he was great. Like, nobody could criticize Kento.
I will say, for match recommendations, I only watched 2 of their matches, like, on the final day. So any match when they lost, I hammered like the 10-second button whenever Davey Boy was in the ring. Like, fast forward 10 seconds. Get Kento back
New
in.
feature.
I don't want to see him.
New feature.
A welcomed feature.
Yeah.
But yeah, pick a match where they lost.
hater energy is so strong, and we all love that.
I'm just so disappointed in the Triple Crown champion. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
it
even want to see him
sucks.
on my screen.
Yeah, it sucks. Like I mean, I'm with you on that, but we cannot. Maybe you can. When you go to Japan, you walk right up to that president and you tell him you speak your mind, okay?
Yeah, oh, I understand what I'm saying. No, I'm not pinky promising anything.
No, I tried to get the pinky promise. No. Okay, fine.
I will say, to wrap up things, I do think this tag league has been better than the last two. Because the last two were hard to watch, especially because they had the junior tournament running side by side, and the junior
Oh yeah,
tournament was
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, yeah. Good point. That's fair. I think this final though was not as good. Maybe it was Davy Boy's fault. I think we should just blame him for it. But I don't think that this final stood up to the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like I will say that it was cool. The Saito brothers won. Don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
but just as a purely match quality, leave everything else out of it. I don't think it could hold a candle to last year's. In my opinion, that was like a spectacular match, and the one where Kento and Yuma won was a fantastic
Yeah.
final as well. So, you know, the league was okay. It kind of drug for me. Again, those B block shows were a little tough, like with all the same types of people. And like you said, Davy Boy was like a dark cloud over it for me. Like ultimately, where it's like you can't escape what you don't. You want to pretend he's not there, but he's
Yeah.
always there, and he's there with like the legend of the company, the ace of the company. So that made it even harder. He should have teamed with Jiro instead. Then we could just skip all of his matches. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, but then I don't know. I don't know.
Two former WWE guys.
Yeah. True.
It's-
True. But then again, you can get Hideki on that as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
A triple team.
That's true. Yeah, don't do this. Like we talked about his contract coming up soon. We're not booking future plans.
Yeah, but the thing is, Kento said on Twitter, I will continue tagging with Davy Boy. Like, Kento, what do you mean? Stop.
That's another one. Okay, you could walk up to Kento and get your opinion out that way.
No. No, I'm not interfering in any of that stuff.
Okay,
I
fine.
just think when Kento said he's going to tag with people he's never tagged with before, people who he doesn't get along with, that could be really interesting. And I think this has run its course. Tag with somebody else.
Yeah.
Tag with T-Hawk.
I love their team. Like I said, I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan of T-Hawk and Kento. Great, like, dick energy, like, between them both. Like, just,
Yeah.
like, they're just perfect as, like, guys who are just above it all, but they're not boring about it. I love it. But who else? Who does he hate the most that he can
Suwama.
team with?
Suwama. 100% Suwama.
Like Kento Suwama team coming up?
Yes.
I could get down with that. I was gonna say, what if they brought back Nakajima to team with Kento as a team?
Keep him away from All Japan for now.
He's not coming back.
He's
Don't
like
worry.
80s era. No.
Yeah, no, you don't have to worry. He's not coming back. Suwama and Kento would be a good team. But okay, let me ask you this:
Mhm.
What would it mean if Suwama took your advice and cosplayed as Baba?
I
And
don't
teamed
think I
with
ever
Kento?
said that on this podcast. So my
just-
idea was Suwama would win the champion carnival. This was when Nakajima was still
Yeah.
Triple Crown champion. He would face Nakajima, who is dressing as Inoki. Suwama would come out dressed as Jai Baba. It's the
How did you
perfect plan.
How did you not say that before on the show? That's an amazing idea.
I think it was before Jumping Epot started.
Oh, okay. Maybe you said it on our show. then like that we were doing when we were covering Tag League.
Maybe.
There. Yeah. What if? Okay. He cosplays as Baba. Kento steals all of Nakajima's stuff and cosplays as Inoki.
I'm not even gonna think about that idea.
B.I.
I'm not entertaining that now.
Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, what about...
No, the thing is,
Who-
you're gonna have an outsider come in at the end of the year and they have to cosplay a wrestler because it's happened 2 years in a row. So who's going to cosplay Bubba next year? It's just disappointing to think about.
So it does. Okay, well, would you rather be an outsider or Suwama? That doesn't.
Well, it has to be an outsider because Suwama's not wrestling that much anymore.
No, yeah, I guess technically he could be. Well, he still has a position of power in the company. He can't be considered an outsider. Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay,
let's talk
fine.
about Tag League.
Yes.
We got off track.
Okay.
Anyway, Tag League, it's done. Finally, my least favorite tournament of the year. And just a couple quick notes. It's just a recap. We've said some of this before, but Miyamoto defeated Tachibana to become the new Goro TV champion. So he's new champion. Omori, Cyrus, and Arashi successfully defended their six-man belts against Inoue, Kono, and Hijikata. If you haven't seen Inoue just spray Omori and Kuma in the face with just, I don't know what it was, unidentified liquid, go watch it. It's hilarious. Inoue is just such a menace. And he came to the ring with the six-man belts, like how Kento and Yuma would wear the tag belts, like across their chest. He's just the best. And Asuki Aoyagi is returning on the 31st of December. He is very sorely missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Very happy that he's back from injury. I can't wait to see what he brings to the table. Like we said earlier, hopefully it's a good deal for the junior division in 2025.
Yeah. So who was your... We usually do wrestler of the month, but this is tag team. So we'll do tag team of the month.
It's got to be the Saitos. Like I said, won the tag league, undefeated, amazing team, shaved his beard, cleaned his life up. Well, he still drinks a lot, but besides that, he cleaned his life up. June getting a title shot was totally unexpected and awesome.
Yeah.
To close out the year. So, yeah, I think the Saito brothers, the Dream Warriors, that they have there, they started playing their song more in this tournament. I heard it like twice in this tournament.
Yeah, I agree. Saito brothers, like there was nobody else really. It had to be them. They're unstoppable. And what was your match of the month?
Match of the month. Oh, that's a good one. Man, I really like the Seigo match and Miyamoto match. That stood out to me as much as any of the tag league matches. But I also like the draw between Musashi and Yoshioka and Sekimoto and Kengo. Like I said, the final didn't really blow me away. It was good, but it didn't really. I didn't love it. You know. I think. Let's give it up for the draw. Like that was the max. That was the most effort match. Sekimoto and Kengo versus Musashi and Seiki.
100% agree. I loved that match so much. 10 out of 10. Like the last minute is perfect.
That was awesome. Yeah,
how
that
they
was great.
ended the match, I literally jumped out of my seat like, holy shit. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you. Like, please go watch it. It's probably one of the best matches of the tournament. Best match for me. So we've made it to the end of another episode. Thank you all for listening and supporting Jumping Knee Pod. You can find me on Twitter at sisterjessie and rollroad72 and also at Bluesky at sisterjessie.
Yeah, check me out, Viva_0, and Viva Zero on Bluesky as well. I'm there. Check out my show, Eastern Lariat. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff. We've got the awards coming up for all year. We've got a special Christmas special. Me and a special guest doing a draft. I'm gonna do a prediction show, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. String is going to Japan, much like you are, at the end of the year. My regular co-host, and we'll see if we can do something while he's in Japan on there. I'm hopeful that we can work something out. But it's a great show. I love doing it. Lots of cool stuff on there. My other show, Wrestle Update, back after a long hiatus. We cover American wrestling, WWE, AEW, Indies. My co-host, Nelade Angelis, he was at 2 indie shows this past weekend, so we're going to have a show about that as well. And talking about the big shows they have, Continental Classic. WWE had a main event, Saturday night's main event on YouTube in Australia, as somebody told me recently. Yeah, just I do want to say thank you guys for all the support over the years for me and my shows, and especially this show with Jess. She's done an amazing job really building it up, and I can't wait to come back on again. I want to, I want to talk more about non-tag league related subjects next time that I'm on. I think that'll be really cool.
We survived Tag League. It's done. It's over for another year. You don't have to come back for Tag League next year. I'll give you a non-Tag League month.
I'll come back if nobody else says yes. Like I said, I won't turn you down no matter what, but you can put me in the back of the line for that particular show. So.
Yeah, just thank you so much for coming on. Like, if you haven't listened to any of Dylan's stuff, start. I mean, Eastern Lariat's great. Wrestle Update is great as well. I've been on Wrestle Update. You can listen to my episode there.
Yeah, she was there live at the Elimination Chamber show. We did that show. That was so fun too. That show that we did. I remember that really well. That whole era was great. Like when this show was starting out. I mean, I was on one of the first episodes, and we did all those Carnival episodes together and the Elimination Chamber episodes. That was like peak era. I was super happy that time with how things turned out, and like look where we are now. All of that great stuff. And then a tag league, the natural follow-up. Yeah. And so whatever happens next, it's going to be great for me. Hopefully the listeners enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
Nobody's like throwing their phone out the window like, I'll get this fool off of here.
Anyway, thank you all once again. I've been your host, Jessica, and I'll see you next time for more All Japan Pro Wrestling.
This has been a Countout Podcast.
Do you have interest in Joshi, specifically Stardom, and you've asked yourself, where do I start? How do I learn? Well, good news for you. The Countout Podcast Network has a podcast dedicated to the history of World Wonder Ring Stardom that can help you learn, watch, and enjoy. This is the Stardom Road Podcast, hosted by Trent Brewer and myself, Scott Evans. Every other week, we dive into the history of wrestling's biggest women's promotion today. We have you covered.
Stardom Road is the perfect podcast for new fans looking to learn all about the deep history of the wrestlers, events, and championships they're seeing for the very first time, or for those who've been there from the very beginning, simply looking to remember the good old days. So join us for multi-episode deep dives into the history of key figureheads like Arisa Hoshiki, and smaller discussions on key role players like Chris Wolf. Find out about the lineage of championships like the High Speed Belt, or how the various tournaments have changed over the years. And of course, spend time with us discussing important topics like how to costume change battle royals at the very peak of the company.
You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us on the Stardom Road.